the reality is, I really do feel like that's the reality. And trying to find methods and habits that are going to keep you even keel, and also finding your strength in a deeper place. Placing your hope on things that really matter, like family, like your spiritual life, your health, your relationships, and not just your success in the world or your status. When you go for those deeper needs, even if there is a little bit of fluctuation on the surface, and there's a little bit of volatility at the top of the ocean, so to speak, deep down in the depths of the ocean, they don't know that there's a tsunami happening. And I do think a lot of people right now, whether it's just the crazy volatility in their space or wherever they're doing, or it's just some of the crazy volatility, it just feels like things are moving really fast. There's a lot of polarization. People are really hyper aggressive and just charged up on various different things. Just learning to dance with it and learning to tiptoe through the raindrops a little bit is something that's important. But yeah, I mean, that's my advice. I mean, what comes up for you when you think about how you're doing it? Because I mean, I can't even put myself sometimes in your shoes. I've told you that many, many times, but having I think it's a super preemie or whatever the category is for James, and now being 9 months later, finally being able to bring him home. Like, how have you navigated the waters here personally as you've been going through the thick of it for yourself?
And it's interesting because I've been very isolated from the public for quite some time. Like, I haven't been exposed to the news and I haven't been exposed to all the dramas of what's been happening in the world. So I've been so isolated, and that's why you're kind of like my go-to of like, all right, so what's happening in the world right now? You traveled, you got on a flight, you kind of went out of the country for a little bit. Like, is it as bad as what I'm seeing? And like, is the world falling apart outside of the hospital room right now? But inside the hospital room, it was chaotic. I mean, we were in the hospital for 252 days. So, 8 months to be in. We had over 200 nurses and doctors over the course of the stent. The last couple of months, we were in the COVID wing of the PICU, and we've seen a lot. I mean, we've seen some amazing doctors and nurses. We've seen nurses fall asleep on the job. I mean, we've seen some of the most incredible people, help us in crazy, beautiful ways of like people that Lindsay have met in Facebook groups to donate their old medical crib because ours wasn't going to be here in time, and donating supplies and all this beautiful love and blessings come our way. And we've also seen some really, terrible knuckleheads, just posting stuff or saying stuff and, having no filter of, like, for example, when we came home for 2 days and then had to call 911, go back to the hospital and say, it's not as easy as it looks, does it? For someone to have the audacity to say something like that to us was just, some people just don't think sometimes. So that's kind of been the world that I've been in, where it's like, just being in the hospital behind the scenes and seeing, what we've been seeing has been tough, and finding as much certainty within the uncertainty and being able to try to find my presence through the chaos, and how to show up for Lindsay as a husband and show up for James as a father, and still find time to support the business from the sidelines, and to find time to read to him, and find time to play guitar for him, and find time to take time to meditate or just practice stillness, and just like sit and not be worried, because there's so much angst of, like, it's not just having a kid. It's having someone who, like, James could literally decannulate himself and pull out his trach and die. Lindsay's in Facebook groups that sees these babies die every single day. And it's like, we have to be hyper focused and hyper in tune with his every action, where it's different. It's totally different type of parenting. And to, again, try to find as many gifts in the process of this has been challenging. So I've been in my own isolated bubble of so much uncertainty. And then I know you and a lot of other people, almost everyone, is in this bigger bubble of a lot of uncertainty as well. But I think the principles of still, navigating and finding gifts within uncertainty is something that is so relevant. And I know you and I plan on going deeper at another conversation in this, but just to kind of set some sort of context of why we wanted to have this conversation, I think is relevant. So if you're still joining us, if you're still live, I see there's a couple of you live with us. Feel free to hit us up with any takeaways or any questions in the Facebook chat. I do have that up on my screen, and I'd love to hear from you as well. But anything kind of shows up for you with some of that.
Sure. I mean, well, one of the things that I think is really relevant, and we just so everyone knows, and we can maybe throw the link in the chat. We're going to put on an event here coming up in Mexico. We'll give you the details and stuff. We're going to have a longer discussion at a later date. But we're doing a 3-day event in Mexico. Get off the grid, mastermind with some really high performing individuals, like-minded folks who are growth oriented, who are also running businesses, but also want to also find fulfillment and happiness. The name of my company is called Better Than Rich. Basically Mike is somebody who works really close with me in the creation of that. And, what that really means is, what is that, how do you live a life that's not just rich, but how to also be better than rich? And here it is, you've been dealt, one of the, most interesting cards I've ever seen. And, that I certainly have never coached someone and led somebody through what you're going through. There really is no playbook, right? But the level of sort of emotional mastery that I've watched you go through this with doesn't mean you've always been perfect. I'd be shocked if if you didn't have moments where you were like, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle this, right? And I don't know anybody who could go through that, emotionally perfect. I don't even necessarily think it'd be healthy to do that in a way. But the level of emotional mastery that you've had, I think, has come from a lot of the deeper inner work that you've done up until that point, right? And investing in yourself and spending time really thinking and reflecting and journaling and really getting to know who you are and who you want to be, so that when that moment came where you're being called to this next level of yourself, just being a dad alone is a challenge, but being a dad, particularly to James during this period of time, is even more challenging. You were just ready, right? It was just like, all right, here we go. Like masculinity on, right? Like run my business through uncertainty on, being there for my wife on, and you were just ready to rock, right? As opposed to, the alternative, which is like crash and burn, turmoil at home, uncertainty all over the place. You're off binge drinking when you're supposed to be watching your son. Like it could have been the complete opposite. And the way you've shown up, I think, is really important. What I want to speak to with this uncertainty piece, I'll kick it back to you soon. But, I was talking with a mentor, somebody that I respect of mine, and they said, yeah, when you want to lead somebody, it's not really about giving them certainty. There's plenty of people out there in the business world, in the coaching space, where if you want certainty, you just want answers, you can go get some answers and they'll kind of give you a playbook. Hey, run this play, do this, do that, make up at this time, make sure you drink this much water, do this in your business. Like you can get that anywhere. But what he said to me, and I thought was really important, was, you really want to work with people who want to be able to navigate the uncertainty gracefully. And the truth is, that's the sort of, people that I like working with, not just the people seeking as much certainty as possible, but the people who are comfortable living in that question. And I think that's somebody like that you've certainly emulated. But if you're listening to this now and that resonates with you, those are the sorts of folks that Mike and I like to work with, and certainly would be fits for the event we're putting on. But what comes up for you, Mike, as we talk through this?
Yeah. And by the way, I appreciate you reflecting that to me, because it did strike a couple of thoughts. The first thought was, I don't drink, but there were certain times where I was like, I feel like I really should go get shit faced. You
could use a drink. Yeah. I could use a drink right now. Yeah, that's good.
But it's interesting you say that, because I just heard a quote recently. I think it was from Ray Chaffardini who brought it up, who quoted JFK. And he said, the best time to repair your roof is when the sun is shining. And I never heard that before, but I loved it. It was so profound, because it's true. All the work that I was doing when things were pretty good, like I didn't have to go through, I had shit happen in my early 20s, mid 20s, but like during that late 20s until early 30s, like things were pretty good. And I could have got comfortable, but instead I chose to double down on personal growth, hire you as a coach, and go to Date with Destiny and invest 10 grand in that, and go to UPW and Crew and invest into different personal growth programs, and going to an immersion event, out in San Francisco. So there was like, and all these books I read. So like the sun was shining, things were pretty good. Money was good. Relationship was good. Things were kind of good. But I was still so pouring into my self-awareness and self-development, personal growth, that you're right. Some people don't do it. And Lindsay's in this Facebook group with there's over 7,000 women, moms of trach babies all around the world, that their husbands leave them, that they're like, my husband left. I have to do this on my own. That's one common theme. Another common theme is we decided to have a divorce. They got a divorce during this time frame because it was so challenging. So one, they just mutually split. One, the dude just decided not to show up anymore. And in my opinion, the fucking craziest is parents that say, we're just going to take the oxygen away and see if the baby can survive. And of course the baby's not going to be able to survive because the lungs aren't fully developed, and let the baby die and leave it to, the hands of whatever it is that they think they're leaving it to the hands to. It's fascinating to see the different approaches that some people take to the same circumstances that never even crossed our mind. But Lindsay's exposed to this because she's learning so much from these trach moms, but she's also witnessing so much too. And her paradigm is beautiful. She's like, what's the alternative? I mean, we fought so hard to have a baby. We have him. He's still alive. Like, we have our baby. That's the alternative. The alternative is like, he's not here. So we got to be grateful for what's in front of us. And she's finding so many beautiful gifts because of that. And she's become such a beautiful mentor for so many moms. And for me to witness that, it's making me show up even more powerfully as her husband and as a father. And we find that mutually between each other of like, she's showing up, I'm going to show up. I'm showing up, she's going to show up. And it's like, that's real competition, conspiring together. Our iron sharpens iron. And to your point, that's exactly the type of people that we want to continue to surround ourselves with better than rich. I mean, it's exactly why I am so passionate about doing this event with you and hosting it, so we can do an immersion experience with other thought leaders and bringing them into a space to disconnect in order to reconnect and protect that space to create some beautiful moments and without the distraction, really.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I mean, I think the story you just shared is a microcosm of, I think, how people can feel at any given point with any situation. And let's just maybe pull this to the abstract for a second. It's like, okay, I'm faced now with this huge responsibility. And there's people like yourself and Lindsay who are like, let's meet the responsibility head on. I don't know if I feel prepared, but this is what life or God is calling me to. Let me just respond and choose to take on that responsibility. And then there's other folks who are escaping their responsibility. And I mean, I had no idea that was even a thing, right? But it sounds tragic, and it also, sounds pretty morally suspect, obviously. And I think that in a way, who even listening to this right now can relate to just being like, yeah, screw responsibility. I don't want it, right? Like, I want to escape. I want to run away, right? I want to leave my, the hardships that I've been dealt. And, of course, this is an extreme situation, but we can all relate in some way, shape, or form to like wanting to escape, right? And in a lot of ways, that is kind of what our culture is, right? It's a culture of escapism. I'm bored, I can escape into my phone, right? I'm not super happy, with my dating situation, I'll just go to the next person. I'm not super, pleased with work, let me jump ship. And everyone's escaping. And what, unfortunately, how our culture is set up, currently is it actually kind of enables that, right? And it rewards that, and it encourages it. Whether it's drugs and alcohol that people escape with, whether it's other addictions that they escape with, whether it's just their technology, their phone, people are just constantly escaping instead of taking that responsibility. But that also leads to a meaningless life, right? Because ultimately, what the studies show, and there's some really great work on this from somebody named Jordan Peterson, who I really enjoy. If you haven't checked out his work, it's really amazing.
Best, yeah.
When he talks about just how important responsibility is to the discussion, and how honestly that's where the meaning of life is found, is in voluntarily taking on that responsibility. And so part of our mission in putting on this event and in just our work in general is to help people embrace that responsibility. And it's kind of a weird paradox where you wouldn't think that it would make you happy, but it does, right? I think our culture sells freedom as do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want, right? And really, freedom is more like having the energy you need and the mental state that you need to be able to do what you need to do. Like, that's true freedom. I want to have the energy and the mentality I need so that I can show up and deliver for people and leave them better than I found them. And if that's where I find meaning, and then I go to sleep feeling super fulfilled, right? Because I did that. And on the days where I don't, where I escape, it's an empty life, right? And so we all know that. We've all tried that playbook. And if you're sick of escaping and you're ready to actually take on some responsibility, like, now's the time, right? The world needs you. And I think that's another big important thing. But what do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree with what Jessica just said. And by the way, I love what you just said, is voluntarily taking on responsibility, because Jessica just said that I feel like God will never give us more than he knows we can handle. So if he puts a trial in front of us, I know it's surmountable. And I agree with that we are only faced with what we are capable of handling. And at the same time, the environment that a lot of people are in gives them the conscious choice to decide on whether or not they want to attempt to take on that challenge or not. So I agree that we're faced that the God or the universe, whatever you believe, is positioning us to handle something that we can handle. And he's also gifted us with the conscious choice we can make whether you believe we're an old soul or a new soul, or, we could go down all different types of directions with that, but some people will choose. And we do have that choice of what path we do want to take. And I really love that you said that we voluntarily can take on responsibility. And many people are choosing to take the irresponsible route. And hence why we're having this conversation. And Andrew, I know, obviously, I want to respect your time and everybody else's time. And I know we're going to have another segment that we're going to do later on this week, and you could speak to that. I know we alluded to this event. I know for me, you invited me to my first immersion experience back, several years back in San Francisco. And it was a beautiful experience for me because it was the first time that I did an intimate immersion. I've done the 10,000 person events with Tony Robbins, and they've been excellent. I've done audiobooks. I've done reading different books. I've done different literature. I've done virtual Zoom meetings, but I never did like an intimate immersion type of experience in a place I've never gone to. And it was a tough sale for me because it was like, shit, that's more money that I've spent on personal growth. At that point, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this or not, but I'm so grateful I did. The relationships I forged specifically with you, and other people like Brett, Janine was there, Kelsey was there, Andrew Evans, who's now my business partner and division manager, was there. So it's like to forge beautiful relationships, to get paradigm shifts when it comes to stepping into fatherhood and into marriage, and also to take a cold plunge into the San Francisco Bay that I personally did, and understanding some of the breath work and some of the things behind energy creation and masculine and feminine energy. This book was introduced to me around that time frame. The Way of the Superior Man, which has completely transformed my relationships with Lindsay and with myself, and tapping into my masculinity and how to also show up in my femininity when I need to, and how to call the energy forward and have the intuition to know which energy to call forward. I mean, there was so much beauty and magic that came from this space. And I know you and I have had conversations of like, how do we recreate this with Better Than Rich? How can we take something that was so magical and something so beautiful from the past and bring it to the now, because it is so needed right now in the virtual climate and the climate of fear and the climate of uncertainty? How do we create this container and create this space? Why are we doing this? And why should, you know, those that we're inviting into this event really make it a priority to attend?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think a lot of the people that we attract at Better Than Rich are familiar with personal growth. Maybe you've invested in yourself in the past. Maybe you've been to events, or maybe you've hired a coach. Maybe you haven't, right? Maybe this would be the first introduction. And if so, we'd love to be the first introduction to. I think it'd be something that would really wow you if it is your first introduction. But the reality is you know, I like to look at our event because kind of one of the big questions that's probably on your mind if you're listening is, how is this different, right, than pretty much everything else? And I kind of equate it to your phone. You know, I think that there's a lot of events that you can go to, a lot of coaches you can hire, where it's kind of like you downloading an app, right? And, you know, you can download a sales app, you can download a marketing app, you can get a little better with your social media app. And so you're kind of upgrading these things and getting 10% better in different areas. And I think those are really helpful. And I think that they're really important if that's your goal. You know, there's plenty of events and plenty of coaches that can really serve in that way. Really what we do at Better Than Rich, though, is we don't want to just upgrade the apps. Okay. We do want to help you with your tools, you know, tricks, techniques, and different things like that. To upgrade some of those apps. Certainly we are going to have some content related to that you can implement first thing Monday morning when you get back. But the reality is we don't just want to upgrade the apps. We also want to upgrade your operating system, right? So if we upgrade who you are, the operating system, and who you believe yourself to be, your identity, if you will, then all the apps are going to run better. And it's literally like you're showing up as one person and you're leaving another. Now I know that sounds like a tall order, but it's something that I've spent really the last 5 years, you know, perfecting. And I run several events like this. Obviously we put on a 40-person event in Florida in March. It was really incredible and an awesome experience, tons of transformational moments, and people just, you know, just bursting at the seams, just caterpillars becoming butterflies right before our eyes. And so, you know, that's kind of what we go for. We create the space. You know, we have really awesome content with really like-minded people who are all fully committed to that experience. Do your best to shut out distraction and then ask really powerful questions and get really powerful shares, and be willing to, you know, be led and basically challenged by our leadership team. So that's how we do it. We're also going to do some really cool, you know, excursions and stuff like that as well. I'll kind of pull up the website here if you want to check it out. It's forestthroughthetrees.com.
Damn, wait, that guy right there, he is handsome.
Yeah, he's a good looking dude, right?
Yeah, that was good.
Sebastian's pretty good looking too. You know, so Mike and Sebastian headed up the banner. But basically, 16th through the 19th, we're going to be in Riviera Maya, Mexico. Okay, it's a beautiful spot. It's our most expansive and kind of exclusive place that we've been to. We're going to do a lot of vision for 2022, but also beyond. You know, most people who come, you know, are at the point where, you know, looking at a 1-year vision is nice, but looking at a 3 to 5 and maybe even a 10-year vision, if you're ready for it, is really useful there.
Yeah. And by the way, to that point, I can't wait when we do the exercise of like the great grandfather and how to leave a legacy and stand the test of time at the Mayan ruins. That has been a location that stood the test of time, and bringing that forward into some sort of practical way to lead a life that is going to leave a legacy. That's going to be such a powerful experience on day 2. But I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, totally. So Mike let the cat out of the bag. We're going to go to Tulum. We're going to go to some Mayan ruins, and we're going to run some content at the actual ancient site. It's one of the most beautiful ruin sites that you will find in the world, honestly. Super ancient and really cool to see. We're also going to do some zip lining on day 2. And we're going to swim in some underwater caves known as cenotes. So if you're thinking about cold plunging, that'll be perfect for you because these are actually cold, even though it is in Mexico, because it'll be November. So it's really, really cool. Underwater caves, if you haven't been into any of the cenotes there, we're going to do a really cool excursion there. Day one will really be a lot of setting the tone for the retreat, getting into the space, getting the energy cohered, and really setting the tone for what your intentions are. And then day three, we're going to wrap it up and make sure that everybody's vision is coherent and mapped out in all the areas that matter most to you. This is actually a picture of the Airbnb, by the way. So it is a really sick spot, as you can tell, really high end. We're taking care of everyone's accommodations as well. So that's baked into the price. And lastly, we'll probably do like an excursion day together where we kind of hit the beaches up or go shopping or something once the event containers can close. Obviously, Mike and I are helping run it, but here's some of the views of the Airbnb. And if you sign up now, the first people who sign up get to stay on site at the actual location. I mean, look at this place. It's pretty incredible. You can kind of flip through the slides too. Again, if you're at forestthroughgetrees.com. But it's just really got everything you could possibly imagine in a really, really beautiful place and a beautiful location. So we can't wait to put this thing on. We're really just looking for, our last one was 40 people. I really enjoyed it. We're going for a little bit more exclusive here. I'm really just looking for the right 15 to 20 people, honestly, who are ready to dive in. If you're thinking about, hey, what's the last event like? Here's some stuff that we were doing. This is some of the energy work that we were doing. We had some energy body workers come and do some really cool stuff. We'll probably do some stuff like that, whether it's yoga or breathing exercises. This is kind of that section of the event. So that's their work. But here's just some of the different scenes. You can see asking questions, listening to content, and getting to go through the experience. We do a lot of whiteboard stuff and get a lot of shares from you, right? So we do some really awesome work together, and that'll kind of give you a sense of what to expect here. More breathing exercises, more journaling exercises. But you can flip through it. There's a lot of really good pictures here, as you can see, and you can see it's kind of a really cool, excited crowd. And then, prices are all here as well. So, you're probably thinking it's probably like $25,000. It's not, it's 2,500. So, that gets you everything, including the accommodations and all of that. All the information's here on the website, and you can just click right there to make the purchase. Obviously, or you can set up a call for Mike and I. If you know us, though, just reach out to us. Just shoot us a text or drop it in Facebook or whatever. And also, if you think anyone else might be a fit, you can share it. But honestly, I hope that everyone listening got value from this, whether you are a fit for the event or not. That's really how we want to serve and show up for people. If you are interested, obviously let us know, and we'll see if you're a fit, and we can have a conversation to discuss it further. But that's pretty much it, Mike. Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, and I'm glad you went through that, because I've had a couple of people I've reached out to specifically that I'm looking to hand pick. And I know you and I made the decision about a week ago, a little bit over a week ago. It's like, we're doing this. And we made our short list of people that we want to do this with. And we reached out to them first. And we reached out to them first, and we said, first come, first to accommodate. And now, after we made our first round of calls, we made those first point of contacts. Now we're going to more of the public space and saying, listen, we're committed to putting on this event. We're committed to filling the space. And at the same time, we're going to survey people, but before we bring them to the space, we're going to have pre-conversations, whether it be a group call or one-on-one conversation, to make sure that the space is going to be protected. We're not looking for people to come in to pitch their products and services to members of the community, and to leave with more clients or something like that. We're here to create transformation and provide a platinum type of experience at such an affordable price. I was just talking to a friend, Sunshine, who's more than likely going to be at the event, and she said she just paid $20,000 for an immersion experience that is now $35,000. And it's different because it's specialized knowledge. But she's just like, why is this so cheap? I said, it's cheap because it's not that it's cheap because of the content. It's because it's the first one that I'm fully supporting and facilitating. And I know you've done this many, many, many times, and I've supported a few, but like this is going to be my first one where I'm stepping into this expert space as the facilitator, and I want to let the magic happen in the room. And that's why we're like, hey, I know you and I have had many conversations about that. We wanted to charge more, but this is a price point where it profits for the business, but most importantly, the right people are going to show up. They're going to do it. They're going to approach it the right way, and we're going to create raving fans because of it. So that way, when we do our second and third and fourth one, obviously we'll be able to charge way more. And this is going to be a beautiful test. Like you said, we've done events, we've done virtual events. We did one in Fayetteville, we've done the one in Orlando, but this is going to be something that's way more exclusive. And I just wanted to double click on that.
Of course, I think like the big thing there, whenever I'm thinking about pricing, I'm always thinking, how can someone get a 3 to 10x return very comfortably, from this purchase, and it also would just what feels good. So, it'll be profitable for us, but I think, like Mike and I are not going to be, running away to the bank by any means with this pricing model, but it'll pay the bills. It'll be able to, be abundant for us. But it'll also, be super accessible for people, right? When you look at it, and they'll walk away saying, hey, I at least made 10 grand on that investment. And that's kind of the idea, is to have everyone walking away saying, I would have comfortably paid, 3 to 4 times more. So,
and I did have one or two people ask about couples
whenever we put these on in the past, but.
I just had Cole ask me earlier about doing it as a couple. Okay. And
Sure.
I do think there's a lot of value. I don't think it has to be, it's not a couple's retreat, but I think there could be a lot of value in doing it with your partner, like a significant other, or attending with like a mother-daughter or father-son. There is definitely value in that for sure, if you want to experience this with somebody else. And you could ask us, I'm sure we'll come up with some sort of pricing deal to kind of offset that a little bit. But either way, I mean, the price point's already very fair, but we could accommodate if that's something that's of interest too.
Well, last time we had probably several couples, right? We had Lauren and Tucker, and Tim and Connie will probably be back at this one too. We had Darren and Grace, and relationships in general, whether you're partnered right now or you're not, has been a topic that a lot of people are interested in. How to maintain, positive relationships, how to grow together, all these different things. If you're not in a relationship, how to attract the right person. So that'll probably be some of the content we put on as well, Cole. So it's a great question. And yeah, we're happy to have couples. Plus, put you up in a nice Airbnb in Mexico. It's not the least romantic place to be, I'll tell you that. Crafting a vision together for 2022 and beyond. It sounds like a little bit of fun to me. So
what's our next conversation? We were going to go live again.
I think Friday morning. Is that right?
Yeah. So we have, Friday, 11 Eastern, we'll go live again. We'll jam a little bit more. And if you have any questions between now and Friday at 11, let myself or Andrew know. We'd love to answer them for you, or bring them to our Facebook Live again on Friday morning. So I really appreciate your time, man. Showing up, and everyone else that joined in. I know Jessica asked a couple questions. I'll reach out to you. And I appreciate, just everyone showing up powerfully today, and especially for you and your time, Andrew. So I'll see you on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you. And we hope to see you there. We'll see you on Friday. Thanks, everyone. Bye.